Here we are back again, talking about more games I've slaved over for the Platinum trophies this year. Well, that's a bit of a harsh way of putting it. I've been really enjoying this challenge, only a few bits have felt like a drag. I've wanted to put this video out for a while, but I've been dying of man flu, and if I still sound like Miley Cyrus, I'm sorry.
Journey is usually the part that you remember anyways.
Anyway, the first game we're going to talk about was a bit of a drag. Up first, we're starting with Platinum number 17 of the year, which is DreamWorks All-Star Kart Racing. DreamWorks All-Star Kart Racing is your standard Mario Kart clone, but as you guessed it, with DreamWorks characters, from franchises such as Shrek, How to Train Your Dragon and Kung Fu Panda. And you know what? It wasn't too bad, well, at least for a game released by the infamously bad Game Mill. If you were to just play through this game from start to finish on all courses, it's a fun little competent racer. You may see the odd bug where the track seems to vanish for a second or two, but even this isn't that much of a problem. Well, apart from one track where it does seem to vanish on a corner when you're playing as certain characters, but it didn't bother me too much. I just realised playing these kind of games has really lowered my bar of expectation and what I expect these days. That might be a problem. Anyway, yeah, it's just a fun, although pretty easy little kart racer. The tracks are actually alright, and portray the movies they're referencing well, and the power-up distribution seems competitive, even though after playing so much of the game, I still don't know what all of them actually do. But this isn't a review of the game really, we're here to talk about its trophies, and how hard they are to achieve. On the trophy tracking site True Trophies, I was the 21st person to obtain this platinum. This doesn't mean it's a hard completion, just no one else on the site is bothering to play the PS4 version of this game to the end. Or at all, because only 133 people on the site have actually played it. To simplify what the game asks of you, it's just win all the cups on lightning difficulty, unlock all characters, buy all upgrades for all characters, beat all the time trials, and beat the challenge mode. The time trials in the lightning mode are actually pretty easy, and if you've played a kart racer before, you shouldn't have any issues. Some of the challenges are a little tougher, as you'll have to hit every boost possible to beat some of the opponents, and this mode seems rather tacked on, but it does have its uses. It's the final one for unlocking everything for all characters, which will cause you to wonder why you're even doing this. Each character has car upgrades which need to be purchased with musical notes, which you can collect during the races. The problem is these top out at 15 a race, and you need hundreds if not thousands to buy everything for one character. To make it even more annoying, all the items aren't unlocked to buy once you have the character. You have to complete a set of mini challenges, like performing a certain number of races or drifts etc, to be able to even buy the part in the first place. Even more annoying is there's always a part where you have to win a cup on lightning difficulty with that character, so you'll be playing full cups on the highest difficulty with each character just for one unlock, which you still have to save up and fucking buy. As I said though, luckily the lightning difficulty is pretty easy, and about the same as normal difficulty on any other kart racer. Now you have all the parts to the cars unlocked from hours of grinding each character, you will still be way short of buying them all. This is where the challenge mode comes in handy. There is a Don't Touch the Walls challenge where you play as Boss Baby, where you can quickly grab 15 notes, then crash. This will cause the event to fail, but you keep the notes. With the loading, this only takes around a minute a run, but you'll still be doing this so many times. There are other miscellaneous trophies which you most likely won't miss throughout your playtime. These are mostly cumulative stuff, like taking a certain number of shortcuts. The only one I had to go back and grind for was hitting 20 enemies with the shield, as I was always way out in front of the race and never had a chance to get this naturally. If you're aware of it though, you can easily grab this one while you're doing your main playthroughs. True Trophy says I beat this game in just under 34 hours, but I swear it was longer than that. It sure as shit felt longer. Felt like watching paint dry. For a fun one run through, it might be worth it if you find it very, and I mean very cheap. But going for the platinum, avoid it like the plague. There is also a PS5 version available, but I don't think I could bring myself to double dip on this one, as this first run through almost broke me. Fist, or Forged in Shadow Torch, isn't a game I was going to say much about in this video, as we did a live stream to discuss it, as it was the monthly game from the Game Club 52 I'm part of. I would have linked that video, but the audio in that video from my end went a bit crap. But then again, it's probably a blessing, as I'm probably the least interesting person talking about it on there anyway. So let's talk about it again now. Fist is a side-scrolling Metroidvania where you play as a rabbit with a large mechanical fist on its back. This is used as a weapon and a tool within the game, which does get upgraded to things such as a drill and a whip over time. Strangely, for a Metroidvania, the game features a very deep, almost fighting game level of combo system, which when you can pull things off looks cool, but it's way too fiddly for this type of game. I was able to beat the whole game just using a simple 3-hit combo though, but sadly this won't net you all the trophies. The story is a pretty generic, rise up from the underground and take back the city from a legion of robots kind of thing, but it did keep me entertained. Where the game shined for me was the exploration and movement. You can chain together wall jumps and dashes in the air to easily get around the map, and there are plenty of secrets to uncover. The trophies themselves aren't too taxing, well apart from one which might be make or break for some people. It's the typical affair of uncover all the map, get all the collectibles, unlock all the upgrades, kill enemies in certain ways and just finish the game, all which can be done on easy. But the one that stands out is to beat all the combo training. This works the same as combo challenges in a fighting game, where you have to work through a list of moves, pull these off, and then you get to move on to the next one. Some of these can get tough too, as it will require you to switch arm forms in mid-air and continue well-timed button presses. I'm in no way good at fighters, but I was able to do this, but at times I was beginning to doubt myself. Overall, I would recommend this to anyone who likes the Metroidvania genre, or just might be into furries. Don't worry, that's not a prerequisite. I enjoyed this game and didn't come away with it with a newfound appreciation for anthropomorphic animals. Also, make sure you play this on a more powerful system. There were performance issues on the PS4 version which I played, and I've heard the Switch version is painful with its load times. Down the line, I'm sure I'm going to go back to this one and do it again on the PS5. What is there to be said about Evil Inside, other than it's just a straight PT clone? If you don't know what that is, it was a demo or playable teaser released on the PS4 to tease the then upcoming Silent Hills game from Hideo Kojima and Guillermo del Toro. Sadly, the game never saw the light of day, but it inspired many copycats, and this is one of the most blatant. You walk around an endless corridor and spooky things happen. I picked this one up as soon as I saw it cheap, as for the longest time it was out of stock and climbing in price, and I'm so glad I never spent big on this. I streamed the whole game and it was over and done in about 45 minutes. I did a completely blind playthrough and popped the platinum trophy. All you have to do is play through the game. I actually enjoyed the 45 minutes I played, as it had me jumping quite a bit, as I'm not the biggest fan of jump scares when I'm trying to concentrate on looking for things, but it made for a fun stream at least. The story does the job, but if you've played any modern horror game, you will have it worked out before the end of the intro cinematic. Overall, this one, although I enjoyed it, is a hard recommendation, as I would say the physical is just out there for the collectors to pick up. And it's great if you want a quick boost to your platinum trophy count, but if that's all you want from it, go for the digital route. It's pretty cheap, quite often dropping as low as £2 here in the UK. It's also a pretty decent looking game. Well, when you're not seeing anything that's trying to resemble a humanoid figure, that is. Can you tell I'm grasping at straws there trying to say something about this game? It's a horror walking sim that lasts about 45 minutes. Enough said. After playing Evil Inside, a horror game that felt like a Lord of the Rings saga-length experience, I knew I needed more. That white-knuckle 45-minute ride wasn't enough to satisfy my horror fix. So I grabbed another title off the shelf, hoping for something quick to install and easy to jump into. So yeah, another smaller, cheaper title, but this time I went with Insomnis, another first-person horror walking sim, but hey, at least this one had puzzles. Going in, I knew nothing about it. I wanted a completely blind experience. From what I remember, the story revolves around inheriting an old mansion and discovering it's haunted by creepy ghost children. You know, classic horror setup. It's been a while since I played it, but I genuinely enjoyed this one. It even had a few moments where I had to stop and think about how to progress. Yeah, I'm not great at logical puzzles. Each time you encounter one of the ghost children, you get a bit of a backstory. Why they're there, what happened to them, and then you just move on to the next one. I didn't realise it was a walk-in sim at first, but honestly, that's a genre I enjoy, so that was a-okay with me. The game does rely on jump scares, but thankfully they weren't too overdone or annoying. I streamed the entire playthrough on Twitch, although during my playthrough I did hit a few dead ends here and there, and I ended up consulting a guide a couple of times. This was just to avoid wandering in circles on the stream. And if I wasn't live, I could have spent more time and eventually would have worked out what I had to do, as nothing in this game is overly taxing. Even with those hiccups, the game only took around 2 hours to beat. One thing I didn't expect though, there's a speedrun trophy for completing the game in under 3 hours. Normally I hate these kind of trophies, but in this case, it was refreshingly easy. Beyond that, the rest of the trophies are super straightforward. There are a couple of different endings, and once you know what you're doing, the whole thing can be knocked out in about 30 minutes. Most of the remaining trophies are just story progression and collectible hunting. The mansion itself isn't huge, so you're unlikely to miss much. And if you do, there's plenty of guides out there to help you clean up. The best part, it's a budget release. I picked up a physical copy on the PS5 for just £15 brand new. So if you're in the mood for something short, spooky, and a bit like a detective mystery, Insomnis isn't a bad pick. I decided to give Hogwarts Legacy a go as I'd seen the girlfriend play through it and she was having a blast. So since it was already installed on the PS5 and I didn't know when I'd have enough space to install it again down the line, I thought why the hell not? Let's give it a go. So many people really enjoyed this game, but you know what? It just wasn't for me. It was too much busy work, just walking around talking to people about nothing, with their made up wizard words. This put me off so much I had to keep consulting Chrissy, who became my Potter Oracle, to help me streamline the way I attack this game. She also mocked me the entire way through because I was playing on story mode difficulty, but I wanted this over ASAP. It felt like every couple of missions they just wanted to throw more things to learn or to waste time with. I think I'd had enough by the time they brought in the beast breeding. I don't want to spoil the story, but it just felt a bit lackluster. I imagine it's because it's a prequel to Harry Potter, so no story as big as that could have happened in this game. A positive point though is you can't say it's not a nice looking game. The environments are stunning, but I may have ruined it a little by having some random character with bright orange hair and wearing some of the stupidest clothing available for the whole game. If I can get a nice picture of him, I'll pop it up now. I named him Wolfus Moonscar and was upset I couldn't actually turn him into a werewolf. Not that I was expecting to be able to, I just lived in hope. Anyway, let's get away from how much I didn't like the game. Oh no, hold on. I just remembered you spend most of the game fighting poachers, and they're one of the big evils of the wizarding world. But if you need quick money, you can go catch animals and sell them. How is this any different? And there's no ramifications for it. The game does have some sort of morality system with you being able to become evil if you use dark magic, but tearing animals away from their families is fair game. Oh Jesus, the map as well. Yes, it does give you a GPS style line to follow and mission markers, but so many times it will send you up a staircase just to tell you to go back down again, then point you back up again. Right, let's get away from ranting again and talk about the trophies. Most of the game is pretty straightforward. It's an open world game, so it comes with the usual tropes. Find all the fast travel points, do all the main missions, side missions, and extra spin-off stuff. So in this case, brewing all the potions, growing all the plants, using different items in battle, that kind of stuff. There are also ones for combos and leveling up your character, as it has a very simplistic RPG leveling system. The largest combo trophy is for 100 hits, and this may sound hard, but your basic attacks are piss weak, and you need to hit the trolls more than that with your basic shot to kill them anyway. Talking of killing, why is it only if you kill someone with dark magic you're penalised? You go around killing random people all the time. By the end of the game you have a body count higher than Rambo. Sorry, I got sidetracked again. When it comes to the collectibles, the game has a lot. You'll be running around using the Revelio spell on anything and everything, as most of the items you need to grab are invisible until you uncover them. The game does give you a small bell sound if you're close to finding it, but it doesn't really narrow it down, as it could be saying you're close, but it's actually the floor above you, which you then have to take the most convoluted route to reach. Focus, Ross, focus, we're here to talk about the trophies. Breathe. The worst offenders of the whole list though is making you reach a certain point in the game with each house, so Gryffindor, Slytherin, etc. This means starting the game 4 times and playing the first about 2 hours of the game over and over. I will give it there are some differences between the houses for the starting portion of the game, but it's not enough to not feel like serious deja vu. I was dreading this to be honest, and during my first character it took me almost 5 hours to reach the area. But I was trying to be super thorough and checking everything. Be warned though, a main playthrough of this game isn't short. I think it took me about 70 hours, and that was with pestering the girlfriend about the quickest ways to get the game over and done with. So tacking on another 6 to 8 hours of repeating the intro after that isn't fun. The thing is I can't tell people to avoid this one, as most of its issues fall on me. I'm not big on many AAA open world games, as they all just feel the same with a different coat of paint. So when I do actually find one I enjoy, I will sing its praises from the rafters, but sadly this just wasn't one for me. If you like this style of game and you're big into the Harry Potter universe, I'd say go for it. I imagine you'll have a blast, the same as Chrissy did. Also, if you're looking for a challenge, on higher difficulties this does actually have some satisfying combat, if you can get good at it. Well, at least I can say I enjoyed the broom races. I won't dwell on Platinum number 22 all that much, as in the previous video I spoke about beating Persona 5 Dancing in Starlight, and this time I went through and beat Persona 4 Dancing All Night. This is a game I've beaten before on the PS Vita, and I never thought I would get the Platinum for it on the PS4, as you cannot just buy the game. It comes bundled with the Persona Dancing Endless Night collection on the PS Store, or as a DLC code on a slip of paper in the physical version. I own the physical version of this on both the PS Vita and the PS4, but sadly the codes for those digital games are all expired now. Luckily the Vita has a physical version of this available though. The problem with the digital version is, as I said, it's in a bundle, which usually costs around £80, and that's just way too much if you just need this one game. But there is a silver lining. This goes on sale quite a lot, and I was able to grab this I think for around £13, which I was more than happy to pay. Anyway, it's just another rhythm game with visual novel elements. This one's actually more in depth with its story, as I believe it was the first one of its kind. And the other two were released at the same time, and pretty much split one game into 2. Most of the trophies just come from beating the game, pairing up with certain dancers in songs, and using modifiers to make songs easier or harder. The hardest trophy again is getting the King Crazy rank on a song, which is for hitting every note with a ranking of great or higher. But this isn't difficult, and you'll most likely do it by accident. According to True Trophies, I had this game done in around 10 hours. So if you like rhythm games and want something pretty quick and easy from the genre, you can't go wrong with this. And I'll repeat myself from the last video. It's Persona. You really can't go wrong with the music in this game. When I bought Animal Well, I did so with the only thing I'd heard about it was that it was amazing. I originally thought it was some kind of survival game and thought it wasn't going to be for me, but I was dead wrong, and I found this to be one of the best games I've played in a very long time. Turns out, it's a Metroidvania, or a Metroidbrania, which people have taken to calling it. It's not a game with any real combat, it's more a game based on the pure enjoyment of exploration and puzzles. The game in no way holds your hand though, you're just dropped down a well and told you have to figure it out on your own. It's pretty cryptic, and when you work out what it actually wants you to do, it's a great feeling. You will spend most of your time trying to locate flames guarded by large hostile animals. A basic location of these are on the map, but that's all you get. As you explore, nothing really gets added to the map other than the key locations. You have to manually draw or stamp your own notes on the map itself. I know people weren't too fond of this, but I actually really enjoyed being able to note down everything I've found and what I needed to come back with. The atmosphere is also a standout. It's got a lonely, almost creepy tone, but most of the time there's no real danger. Yes, there are enemies, but most are easy to avoid, and they don't follow you between screens. Well, most of them anyway, but I won't spoil that. I'm trying to be as vague as possible about the game, as I just think everybody should play it. If you like Metroidvanias, that is. Fuck it, even if you don't, play this game, it's great. If you're wondering why people call it a Metroidbrania, it's due to the severe amount of depth available. Think of something such as like Fez. For example, with this and that, when you beat the game, you can stop there. but you can keep going deeper and deeper. See, this game is like an ogre, it has layers. Both of these games involve things that actually take place outside of the game itself, but I won't spoil these. As for a platinum though, it's really straightforward. Complete the game, get all the collectibles, some which are actually pretty tough to find, but unlike the usual boring fetch quest, I found going for these a blast, and it had me really stopping and thinking about what I was missing. The physical for this one is a tad pricey, but it does go on sale digitally quite often, and you'd be mad not to give it a go. Just stick with it though, as it may not click at first. Hopefully its fantastic looking and surprisingly colourful world will suck you in like it did me. Just play it, please. After Animal Well, the horror itch was creeping back in again, so I thought I'd pull another random one off the shelf. I popped it in, and lo and behold, it turned out to be another walking simulator. But yet again, this one sucked me in. It reminded me of playing something like What Remains of Edith Finch, but not as polished. The game takes place towards the end of the Second World War in German-controlled Italy, and revolves around the death of a twin sister. From here on out, the game goes into some pretty dark and actually quite graphic scenes. With it being yet another highly narrative game, I don't want to spoil the plot as I would recommend this game to. As I said, it gets graphic, so make sure the content is something you can deal with. You can choose to skip these scenes, and the game will ask you a few times before they play out, but I feel skipping these would be taken away from what's actually happening in the game, and they're integral to the story. These parts aren't just included for some kind of shock value. I will give one example as it's very close to the beginning of the game. In first person you get very up close and personal with peeling off someone's face, and this isn't the worst thing you do in the game. I'm not somebody who likes to censor anything on YouTube at all, but I toyed with including this scene in the video, but ultimately I don't want to upset anyone. Trophy wise, this again is a rather easy one, but if you do a blind playthrough like me, you will most likely miss quite a few of the side missions, and if you want to get it all done in one playthrough, a guide is required. What is rather impressive about the game, but won't be for everyone, is that it has a rather in-depth photography sim aspect to it. This involves even having to process the photos in a dark room, which at first feels like it would be agonisingly slow, but it does start allowing you to skip parts of the process. This isn't the kind of game you will come out of feeling good with yourself about finishing, but its dive into mental health I really did find interesting. Some people might think it's playing it safe going for platinums on games I've already beaten on Xbox before, but I'm seeing this as a reason to play the games that I loved the first time round all over again. When I first played Control, it was one of my highlights of that year, and going back to it, it was just fun. It's a third-person shooter, where you end up being the director of the Federal Bureau of Control, where you have to eliminate a threat known as the Hiss from their headquarters, known as the Oldest House. If that makes no sense, the plot to this game is all over the place, but it's the gameplay that makes it so fun. The constant dodging the onslaught of attacks, the satisfying heft of your gun, the use of superpowers such as levitation and telekinesis, it all just comes together in one great package. It isn't an easy game though, some of the bosses can get tough, and at the beginning you can't take a lot of damage. You can actually make this game a lot easier by turning on all the assist options in the menus, but I would highly advise against this, as it would really water down the experience. It's the making it through an encounter with only a slither of health remaining, which keeps you wanting to play. The first time I went through this game I had a lot of trouble with the map, and couldn't work out where I was meant to be going. But this time I paid more attention to the in-game signs pointing where the different areas are, and I didn't really have any issues. Playing it once before may have helped a little, but it was a while ago, and when I played it again, most of the layout of the Oldest House was gone from memory. I actually did the base game for the Platinum and all the DLC trophies for this as I was having so much fun. I've heard some say that the DLC trophies can be a bit glitchy, but I never found any issues with this or the Xbox version. What the game expects you to do for the Platinum is actually rather easy for a game of this style. Beat the game, do the side missions, do some optional time missions, and upgrade your character. There are ones for collectibles, but these only require a certain percentage and not all of them, so if you keep your eyes peeled, there will be no issues. And no, I don't mean peeled like the last game. The hardest base game trophy to actually unlock is spending 100 skill points, as they aren't the easiest to obtain. The quickest way is to look for as many hidden areas as you can, because every time you find one, it grants you 1 point. The rest will be earned through completing missions. So this is made easier if you're also working on the DLC. To be honest, most versions of the game come with the DLC now, so you might as well play through it. It's also fun. Well, not the Foundation one. We don't talk about that one. Before starting this challenge, I was really starting to get back into Rocksmith 2014 on the PC, so I thought to get my fix I could just buy a copy of it for either the PS3 or PS4 and go for the Platinum on that. This is where, to my surprise, when looking into getting a copy, I found they had finally released Rocksmith Plus on PlayStation systems. If you're unaware of what Rocksmith is, imagine Guitar Hero but you can play it by plugging in a real instrument, and you can learn to actually play the songs through a gamified version. The problem with Rocksmith Plus though, is you can't just buy it. Sadly, it's a subscription service, and a pricey one at that. It's like £15 a month, but it does give you access to a massive library of songs. Most, to be honest, were nothing I'd ever be interested in though. So if you want to get into this game, get a copy of 2014 for the PC and go the custom DLC route. You can play what you want then. What I noticed looking at the trophies though, they didn't seem that hard compared to the other games in the series. They were mainly for things like 100% in 60 songs, certain number of note streaks, and just playing a ton of notes. Looking at this, I knew I could do this and have it bashed out in under a month easily. Sadly, doing this did take some of the fun out of the game though, as I was having to do things like use the riff repeater over and over, or do countless practice sessions just for trophies, and these took up a decent amount of time. I also found where this was streaming all the content, it just wasn't as responsive as playing the original or 2014, where the songs weren't constantly downloaded. I imagine it downloads the whole song before you play it, but something was just causing notes to drop for no reason, and it wasn't the cable or guitar, probably my crap playing. This made the simple trophy of hitting a 100-note streak 100 times a bit more annoying, but other than a few minor hiccups, this one was plain sailing, and it didn't take me too long. Only roughly 20 hours. I must add, I played the bass for this game, which made it a much easier platinum. So if you're after this one and have a bass lying about, plug that in and breeze through. During this challenge, I want to get a platinum done on a game from every generation of PlayStation. So far, I have mostly been focused on PS4 and PS5 games, so I thought to get a guaranteed one on the PS3, I would play Megamind Ultimate Showdown. This is one of the original, easy platinum kids games. It's not a 30-minute and you're done job though, it does take a few hours. This is one I'd done before on the Xbox 360, but not on the PS3. To be honest, it's weird it's even in my collection at all, as I don't usually double dip much when it comes to the Xbox 360 and PS3, but I must have found it cheap in a charity shop at some point. It's a very straightforward platinum. Basically, complete the game and beat some bosses without dying. Annoyingly, if you do die on a boss, you have to repeat the whole level for another attempt, but when you know what you're doing, they're all incredibly simple. There are trophies for unlocking the minigames, but you just unlock these from completing levels. You don't actually have to play any of them, and that's it. It's just a super easy platformer beat 'em up with a couple of weapons thrown in. It's actually not terrible, and if you just need a boost to your platinum numbers, you could do way worse. I would only play it if you find it cheap though, as the whole game will be over in about 3 hours. 3 rather repetitive hours, mind you though. No, you haven't gone back in time. You see, where Rocksmith Plus was a subscription service, that meant I was able to play it over multiple devices, including the PS5. While I still had it for the month, I thought it would be mad not to fire it up and go for the second platinum available on this one. I wouldn't usually go for the same platinum twice in one challenge, but there was no way I was paying for another month somewhere down the line. All your stats carry over to any other version of the game, but this isn't a trophy auto-pop situation. If you want them trophies, you need to do it all over again. But this time it's harder to track your stats, as even though it says you've played hundreds of songs, the trophy counts are back to 0. I also found this caused a lot of issues with the counts I was trying to keep manually. You see, I didn't unlock the trophy for 200 songs played until I almost hit 700 songs. That makes it seem a bit out, doesn't it, when 200 songs was one of the last trophies I got on the PS4 version. This was actually tough to get through a second time, as my fingers were getting sore. By the end of it, I had calluses like a porn star. But I got there, even though I was panicking that things weren't ever going to unlock. Sadly, it hasn't hit Xbox yet, so I couldn't go for the triple whammy in 1 month. Well, I could have done it on Steam, I guess, but hindsight. With the classic lineup of games available on PS Plus, it means it is truly possible to get a platinum from every era of PlayStation. So for a PS1 game, I went with Toy Story 2, Buzz Lightyear to the Rescue. It's a game I used to play the demo of a lot when I used to borrow a friend's PS1 back in the day, but with only playing a demo, I'd never seen it all the way through to the end, even though I have had this sitting on the PS1 shelf for a very long time now. I'm not sure if they added any quality of life improvements to this other than the ability to save state or rewind time, but I found this to be a surprisingly tight early 3D platformer. There was the odd camera issue, but not enough that you'd be fighting with it. I've played new PS4 platformers with worse cameras. Most of the trophies are pretty straightforward, and just awarded for playing through the game. But there are a few miscellaneous ones, which though not hard can be easy to miss if you're unaware of them. These are things like winning a race against the RC car without using any boosts, or killing bosses only using certain moves. With the inclusion of being able to rewind time, it makes this game an absolute cakewalk, and might be why I didn't find many issues with the platforming. This is available on both PS4 and PS5, so it actually has 2 platinums available, but if you do the PS4 version and move on to the PS5 one, don't be expecting any trophy auto pops. I think I had this game done in about 8 hours, but I feel that's a little long, as I may have left the controller idling for a while. I would imagine it's more like a 6-hour completion. I'd recommend this to anyone looking for a nice chill game to ease yourself into playing the older titles available through PS Plus. And with that said, this is the end of this update. It's taken me way longer to get this out than I wanted it to, with being ill and just insanely busy recently, but I got there in the end. This has taken long enough that I'm actually already a couple more platinums deep, so hopefully I won't leave it so long between updates next time. I would love to know some platinum suggestions from people that I should try and aim for. I know saying this means it's only going to be mega hard stuff suggested, but I'll take any suggestion on board. Anyway, thanks for watching. I'm going to go take some cough medicine and die. Have fun, people.